Welcome to the Royal Flush Podcast. My name is John Overy, the VP of Sales here at Royal Flush. In this podcast, we cover the ever-growing ins and outs of our state-of-the-art pipelining company. And specific to this episode, we cover the Masters Tournament, which I had the great pleasure of attending this week. And more importantly, to our plumbing world that we live in, we talk about the cause, the effect, diagnosing the symptoms and the problems in a pipe, and if and when you should be contacting a pipeliner and how to know what's going on with your underground pipes. Stay tuned. What the hell is pipelining? 99% of people don't know what we do.
Pipelining is a way of making a repair to a sewer line or a drain pipe without having to dig it.
We're going to basically put a new pipe inside your old pipe, and what we do is really, really cool.
Ultraviolet light.
Without a doubt, is the coolest technology that we have.
Mark is the most knowledgeable pipeliner, certainly in New England, that I know.
So I always say, listen, I got the best team in the game, and it shows itself in situations like that. You got trailers loaded with every inch of equipment these guys could possibly need. Then you have that whole lining rig that's got everything. And you've got 4 to 5 guys that are going to show up there that are these technically trained guys that all are professionals at their job.
Very simple. We're going to be the biggest pipelining company in New England.
But even like Thanksgiving break, it was, once Thanksgiving hit, it was Christmas break. Like everyone was home from late November to early January.
Yeah, because I'm not coming back for the week.
Yeah, because you're not going to go home and then come back.
For the 2 weeks of finals that are in over the internet.
It was nuts.
So how'd you take your test? If they were you just have the book?
It was all open book.
This is the way every test should be anyway, Kyle.
That's the reason I passed in
You know why? Life is open book.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as a life closed book test.
exactly.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So every test was open book.
It was awesome. Saved my senior year.
That's how it should be.
Yep. I think we'll just get into it. I mean,
Yeah.
this might be just a good place to pick up. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about common causes of backups, signs to look for if you need pipe replacement or a service like ours or maybe some other service. But first, I want to point out your Friday best attire,
Look what I'm wearing, Kyle.
the Masters hoodie.
Today is Friday. We're filming this on a Friday of Masters Week.
Yep.
And Kyle, I just had the privilege of going to the Masters tournament.
You did.
And it was magical.
So, and you had mentioned it's like a lottery system to even get a chance to buy the tickets.
Yeah, so I didn't. My buddy Ben has been putting in and submitting every year for the Masters lottery drawing. And apparently how it works is you put your name and information and you just go online and you pick the days that you want to attend. So the practice rounds are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, tournaments Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you just put in for all days. You put in for how many tickets you want and you hit submit. And he's been doing this for 15 years. And he got an email in like August and he texts me, he says, "What are you doing on April 8th? Monday, April 8th. And I was like, I don't know. He goes, "Well, we're going to the Masters."
That's awesome.
And so he got drawn for the Monday practice round at Augusta. Now, I had heard before, and I agree with it now, that the practice rounds are almost better to go to than the actual tournament because everybody's a little more relaxed. You can just free and walk the course. And the atmosphere is better. Whereas the tournament rounds, you're more like following a group or specific to a hole, and it's just a little different viewing experience.
Oh, I feel like especially it being your first time for the Masters, it's a little more like you're going for the experience. You're going to see Augusta.
Yeah, I wanted to see the
You're
course.
not there for the golf necessarily.
No, I wanted to see the course in person. We walked almost every hole, and I wanted to see what, for those golf fans, I wanted to see what the tee at 1 looked like, the tee at 10, coming up 18, A-man corner, the par 5. Like, I wanted to see what those holes looked like in person compared to what I've seen on TV the whole entire time, and that's basically what we did.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it was never necessarily like a bucket list item of mine, but like hearing from your perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Like lightly following golf for a majority of my life, like that's something that like seems worthy of kind of
The
setting a week
equivalent
aside.
I would give it is, depending on whatever sport you're in, this is the Super Bowl. or the venue of the Super Bowl. So I gave you the analogy where you talked that you're a big college basketball fan. This would be going to the Masters for you would be the equivalent of going to the Final Four, sitting courtside, knowing that your team is guaranteed to win the Final Four game and the national championship game, and you're going to get there to experience it.
Yeah.
You would go every time, no matter what, right?
Definitely. 100%.
You know, imagine if I told you next year, no matter what, the Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl, and you get to sit in the 50-yard line. You're going to go to that game, and that's what the Masters is. It's also so exclusive.
Yeah.
Like the majestical exclusivity of what they create and walking in, and it is the most perfect, meticulously kept property I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's just beautiful. You're walking around, you're like, this is just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's awesome. That must have been an insane experience, especially for you being a huge golf guy.
Yep.
All right, back on topic.
Let's talk about
We're
poop.
gonna right the ship. Yeah, let's talk about poop and overflowing and terrible situations. So before we get into how someone would know they need their pipes replaced, for a normal homeowner, business owner, whatever, what are some common causes of backups and pipes breaking and bursting and all this stuff? What are some things to look for?
Gotcha. Well, there's a couple real common causes, but really it's the symptoms that you as a property owner or a business owner are really going to pay attention to. And so the analogy I use is in the business that we're in, think of when you're sick and going to the doctor, right? A doctor is going to do two things. They're going to diagnose what's going on, and they're going to ask you your symptoms. So say you're not feeling good. You're going to walk in and say, Doc, I've got a fever, I've been throwing up, I got the chills, and I have a temperature, right? So those are the symptoms. In our business, the symptoms are, I have a really slow gurgling drain. Some things aren't flushing right, okay? I've got a sink in the basement that continues to fill up. I've got a tub filling up. I've got an odor or a smell. I've got a sinkhole, or, I just know something's, those are symptoms, right? But ultimately, those symptoms are not what's causing the problem, okay? So again, back to the health analogy, you're at the doctor, you've got a fever, you're throwing up, you've got the chills, and you just don't feel good. The doctor is going to give you medicine to relieve those symptoms, right? Let's take some Tylenol, take a hot shower. I'm going to give you something for the pain, but those medicines he gives you are not fixing the problem, right? The cause of the symptoms or the cause of the problem is not that you have a headache and a fever and you're throwing up. It's that you have an infection in your body. Maybe a bacteria infection. Maybe you have pneumonia. Maybe many different things. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, right? Ultimately, they're going to diagnose you and they're going to get to the root of the cause and say, we're going to give you these medicines to make your fever go away and your chills go away, but I'm going to give you this antibiotic to kill the infection, which will in return eliminate the symptoms, and you'll start feeling better. In our line of work, too many plumbers and drain cleaners are just addressing the symptoms. So you have a backup. The backup is ultimately usually caused by a couple things. Roots in the pipe, heavy scale or corrosion, a crack, a collapse, something's coming in, something's clogging it, right? Something's nasty in there. And that's what's causing the issue. And the symptom is a backup or a slow drain or that we call a mop sink in a house filling up, or the washing machine sewage backing up. Those are the symptoms. The way to fix those symptoms with the Tylenol and the fever reducer is to just go in and clean the line, right? We're going to snake it out. We're going to jet it out. We're going to poke a hole in what's in there. Oh, you're up and running. Kyle, I gave you some Tylenol. You were at 102. You're down to 98.7. You're good to go. What's going to happen in 6 hours when the Tylenol's out of your system? Your fever's going to come back up again.
Yeah.
Give you more Tylenol, you're down. Okay? I clean it, I snake it, I jet it, you're free. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, however what's going on with your problem, the roots come back, the sand and gravel fill the hole, the corrosion's still there, you get another fever. Again, they're just temporarily solving it. The doctor said, well, Kyle, we're going to give you the medicine for your head, but ultimately I'm going to give you an antibiotic to kill the infection, which is going to eliminate the fever altogether. That's what we at Royal Flush do. It's a big, big, big difference. I think hopefully that analogy makes sense, and I think that's the best way I can kind of prescribe to understand kind of what's going on with the cause and the effect. So the real symptoms that you need to look out for as a homeowner in a business is that slow or gurgling drain. And it's one of those things that people are like, well, how do I know what's a slow and gurgling drain? This sounds kind of silly. Nobody knows your drains more than you. Hopefully, you take a shower frequently. I don't know. Some people don't. You know what your shower, like you know what your shower does. If you're in your shower and you're like, there's a big puddle here, what's going on? Like what? Okay, that's probably an issue. You probably either hand wash your dishes or use a dishwasher. You know what that sounds like. You know when you like you know how your sink acts. If all of a sudden you do it and you're like, oh, this is being significantly slower than it used to be. That's something going on. In the residential world, the real key thing, because water seeks its level. So most people have a washing machine and a dryer in the basement. And depending on the age of your home, we have what we call a mop sink, an old, slop sink, right? If there's a backup, those things are going to fill first because that's the lowest point of you realizing it. If your toilet overflows or your bathtub fills up, you got a big problem because that poop is not only backed up from the pipe below the ground into your house, it's now going up a whole entire flight or floor. And now it's showing itself in your bathtub, right? So you're going to find the path of least resistance. So usually we get calls of, I just did a load of laundry and there's poop floating in my washing machine because that has backed up and now it's fine. This is lower than your first floor. It's going to fill up the washing machine. Or I've got that mop sink that's just over here and we use it once in a while and the water's bubbling up or it's gurgling. Those are the symptoms. That's how you know you're like, okay, hold on. We've got an issue here. Now, whether that's a project for a drain cleaner to temporarily get you up and running or us at Royal Flush, that's the frequency or that's, hey, tell me the story or the lifespan of what's been going on at that property. If you own that property for 10 years, commercial or residential, and, in the 10 years is the first time it's ever happened, that's a drain cleaning call. That's, maybe we put some wipes down there. Maybe it's been a busy week and we've put some other stuff down there. Just wear and tear. Maybe the grease has started to build up from the sink. You have that drain cleaner come, you flush it out. You're probably going to be good to go. Now, there could be something more catastrophic in there, but 9 times out of 10, it just need to be cleaned out. If that starts getting more frequent, and the story is I've had it for 10 years and it happened today, then it happened 2 years from now. So now it's happened twice in 2 years. Then it's a year. Then it's 6 months. Then it's 4 months. The problem is getting more frequent. No longer are the temporary reliefs, no longer is taking Tylenol every 4 hours relieving the fever. You now have to get into what is the cause. Okay, there's a significant root intrusion in this pipe that clearly punching it through with a jet machine or a snake is not fixing it. We now need to solve the problem permanently so the roots don't come back anymore. Right? You can't continue, you can't take Tylenol every day for the rest of your life thinking it's going to solve the problem. You've got to get at the root cause of the infection. And in the plumbing world, in these pipes, it's rust and corrosion in cast iron pipes, and it's roots and decay in clay. Those are what most properties have. There's a lot of other pipes. But we've got to start getting and digging into what's the cause of the problem and not focusing on these temporarily fixes. So I think that kind of answers your question, Kyle.
Yeah, I think, and you've banged this drum a million times now, is a lot of times you don't know there's an underlying problem until, you have someone send a camera down there and understand, like, this isn't just like a piece of toilet paper or something just clogging your drain. It's there's an underlying problem. There's a hole. There's roots. There's this. There's that, and it's not necessarily just like a one-off fix.
So, and then the analogy for a lot of the homeowners, I think, it's because it's out of sight, out of mind. You can't see the pipe. You can't feel the pipe. You can't touch the pipe. You have no idea what's going on, right? How would you? It's just under the ground. You just take it for granted. A pipe, the design life of a pipe is significantly further out than anything else on your house. Right? You got to think, You don't own a home yet. You may or may not know this, Kyle. What is the average lifespan of a roof that's going to say on the package? You have an idea what that is?
I don't have any idea, but if I were to just blindly throw a number on it, I'd say 25, 30 years.
It's 25 to 30 years. You're 100% right. You buy the best quality roofing shingle today, that's 25 to 30 years. And I mean, it's not like in the 29th year it's good and on the 30th year it decays. It slowly gets worse. The average, I'm not a roofer, but I bet you the average statistic is 10 to 15 years people replace the roof. Okay? You can see it, you can touch it, you can know. If like you can look at your roof and go, man, it's not looking so hot. Maybe it's time we start investigating this. It's warped. There's some shingles missing. It visually doesn't look good, right? A window does not last forever, right? They break, they crack, they shift. The gas in between the panes lets go, right? You go to a house that's got the foggy window, that means the window's technically broken. Besides vinyl siding, even then, a wood shingle on the side of a house needs perpetual maintenance. Cleaned, pressure washed, mold and mildew degreased, and it needs to be stained or primed and painted. You have to keep up with the maintenance, otherwise the wood is just going to rot off the house, right? So the home is a maintenance thing. If you think about it this way, aren't you crazy to think that if your home was built in 1930, which would make it almost 100 years old, your pipe's totally fine?
Yeah.
What would make you think that the pipe under the ground is in perfect working order? It's not designed to last 100 years. We just don't, right? And it's nobody's fault. It's not the homeowner's fault. It's not the business. It's nobody's fault. We just take it for granted. We don't think about it. We just assume and think it should be working. Unfortunately, that's why we're here. It's not the case. And so, like, would you ever think your roof's going to last 50 years and I don't have a this has been on 50 years. I cannot believe it's leaking. I would call you crazy if you ever said that. So why do we think it's crazy that your underground pipe of your house built in 1950, that's now 70 years old, that you're having a backup and it's cracked and it's broken as the roots and now you have to fix it? We should actually be expecting that.
Yeah.
Not thinking, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I was caught so off guard. Right? I mean, honestly, like, you're crazy for thinking there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no, so what I was going to say is I kind of agree with that in the sense that, like, ideally someone's watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, specific episode, because they want to know what to look for when they have an issue with their underground plumbing.
Yep.
Anyone whose house is 50 years or older should ideally be on top of that already as it is.
You're 100%. They should, at the minimum, again, it doesn't have to be us. You can call any person with a camera and just be like, you know what, I'd love to understand the condition of it, because then you can at least plan.
Yep.
Now, there's a chance your pipe's great. Hopefully that's the case. But there's also a chance not. Be like, well, you know, it's getting there. You know, are you going to live here for the rest of your life? Yeah, I'm 35. This is my forever home. We're starting a family here. We're going to live here. Great. You're going to have to fix your pipe eventually.
Yeah.
It's not going to last the next 50 years. And so plan accordingly. Here's the signs to look for: the gurgling, the slow drain. Any unique odors can identify a crack or something going on in the pipe. You know, if you get a sinkhole, you know, I don't know, it's this divot in the front yard. Well, you got a big problem. You got something going on that's causing a major issue.
Yeah. And then as far as any other causes or things to look for, anything else you can think of that you might have?
Well, I think in a business, so we kind of talked about residential. Let's talk about kind of a commercial or a business atmosphere. Really, it's besides those same gurgling and slow thing, you know, it's really the same type of symptoms, but that's going to be the use and the abuse of the line, right? So if a residential pipe that we go to is 60, 70 years old and it's still kind of functioning, but it's ready to be fixed. A commercial pipe, you know, in a hospital or a multifamily apartment complex, just an office building like ours, you're going to think the amount of use is like 5 to 10 million times what your house, right? Let's say on average you got 4 people. The house is built in 1950. It's 70, 80 years old. 4 people live in the house. You have 4 people a day taking showers, flush. Okay. If we have a business that's only 20 years old, but there's 100 people working there, that's like 800 years worth of pipe exposure in a 20-year span. So it's really It's use and abuse. It's the improper things being put down there. The number one thing, do not put wipes down the toilet. I love
Yeah.
wipes, Kyle. You use dude wipes?
So I actually have. I've been seeing a lot of ads for like Pat McAfee show, Barstool, like that type of
No,
stuff.
I just use
promoting
baby
it.
wipes because I have kids.
Yeah.
So
So
listen,
I've never been a wipe guy.
it feels magical. Okay? You feel like $1 million afterwards.
Interesting.
But I don't care what the package says. They are not degradable. They are not meant to be put down sewer pipes.
Yep.
People don't realize toilet paper disintegrates to almost nothing. It is a engineered design product. It's actually pretty cool.
Interesting.
You can use it. It's nice and fluffy. It makes you feel good. You can wipe yourself. But when it's soaked and submerged in water, we've all put it in there and you take a toilet paper and you wring it down to nothing. If you sat that in water, it's going to slowly dissipate into just water and mush. It's gonna dissipate into nothing and break down and go down the line. We don't realize the human waste we're putting down, I'm putting this nicely, the human waste we're putting down the pipe is biodegradable. It comes from us. It breaks down when it's in a sewer system or a septic system. It goes to a treatment plant and it's soaked in the water that we use and in the pipes. It ends up breaking down. So our pipes are only meant to house things that are going to break down over time. Even if it's the short span just to go from our house out to the street, then you don't realize in the street it has to travel an immaculately long way
And a lot of water.
in a lot of water to get to the treatment plant. It could be it could be tens of 15, 20, 100 miles that's traveling
Yep.
to get to the plant. And so when you put things down like brown paper towels in a commercial atmosphere, right? You wash your hands. Now, I hate hand dryers. I don't even know this. I'm anti-hand dryer.
So I'm interested to hear your reasoning on it because I am too.
Okay, we'll
but
go
I
off on a
don't-
topic. You can't get your fucking hands dry. You can't
Yes,
get your
okay.
hands dry.
Yeah.
Okay?
I always find myself kind of
Yes, no matter what.
whatever the
Or
remains are, wiping
if you're in a
my
public
pants.
setting, I gotta be here for 5 minutes, right? And
Yeah.
first of all, you look like a clown, right? It's usually like this.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like I can never, so I've cleaned and washed my hands. That's the clean part. But to me, the hands aren't clean until they're dried. Until
Like
they're
fully
washed
dry.
off.
Yeah.
You can never fully get it. So if I'm in any place and there's a lovely plush paper towel and there's a dryer, I am going to the dryer 0.0 times. I am always 100% of the time going to the towels, paper towels, kitchen towels, rags. I'm going to those because that to me feels cleaner.
Yeah.
Now, unintentionally or not, in public restrooms, people put those towels down the toilet all the time. Brown paper towels. The threefold and the silver bin on the wall, maybe you put a picture up there, you can see it.
Yep.
Those paper towels end up in the toilets so many times. Those are 100% non-biodegradable. They do not dissipate and turn to mush in the toilet, in the pipes. They absolutely do not. The wipes, those do not break down in the line. Also, they're different materials. So again, imagine you have a pipe that's got a lot of scale and rust and corrosion in it. Those are going to be like little shark teeth. Okay? When the toilet paper breaks down, it can get caught on it, but the water's going to do it. It's going to dissipate. The paper towel, it's going to get caught and that's it. It's not going to break down. The wipe, it's going to get stuck and not break down. It's going to cause a blockage. And then the number one thing for the ladies out there is feminine products.
Yeah.
Those fundamentally do not break down. Now, I'm not a woman. I certainly don't know anything about that experience. Any bathroom you go to, it says don't put the feminine products on the. I know women do it. Right? They're not intentionally trying to cause issues, but those are major problems. Those products, without getting into any crazy here, they're made to absorb. The exact opposite of what you want. Almost knock this off the wall. The exact opposite of what you want in a pipe. You don't want
Yeah.
things that are going to fill up and
expanding.
absorb and basically create a balloon and a blockage. You want things that are going to break down, right? Like, so totally 180% opposite of what you need to be inside a pipe. So in a commercial environment, when you have those things going down the pipes, when you have feminine products, when you have wipes, when you have paper towels, those are causing blockages and backups and major, major issues. You combine that with an old pipe, lots of maybe funny turns, maybe rust and corrosion, maybe clay that started to separate. That's how you have continuous backups. Now, in a lined pipe, fundamentally, those items should never be put down there as well. But now here's the difference. In a lined pipe, if a feminine product, a paper towel, or a wipe gets down there, what's one of the benefits, Kyle? It's like a
Smooth. It's like a water slide.
smooth water slide.
Basically, a lot of like wipes, for example, can get caught on
caught.
those connections
Yep.
in clay pipe, cast iron.
Exactly.
Whereas that one piece, it kind of just
Yep.
there's nothing for it to get caught on.
So it's not that the wipe, besides the wipe not breaking down and not supposed to be in the system, the wipe is designed differently that it's not going to shear and dissipate to nothing. It's going to get caught on something. The problem with the wipe is not that it's clogging the system. It's getting caught on something which is causing a clog and a backup and a bunch up. In a line pipe, there's nothing for it to get caught on.
Yep.
It is impossible to get caught when it's this smooth, right? Have you ever been able to get stuck in a water slide? I mean, maybe you can, but you got to contort yourself, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're on your butt, your back, or you're in the tube, it slooshes around.
Yeah.
And you go to the bottom, right? There's nothing to get stuck on. And that's the difference of a line pipe. And that's what it can perform with. And those are the real benefits in the commercial end of what we can do.
Awesome. Anything else you wanted to add before we head out of here?
I don't think so. I think hopefully you guys love the Masters like I do. Hopefully you have gotten the opportunity to go because it really exceeded my expectations. I would love to go again. But back to our pipes again, maybe I think hopefully the analogy of the sickness really helped you understand the diagnosing the symptom versus the cause, fixing the cause of the problem and not the symptoms. I think if we really think about a lot of problems in life or maintenance issues, it's about fixing the cause and not the symptom,
Yep.
right? Really, like, is this just a cause or a symptom? And making sure you understand your diagnosis and you fix the cause of the problem, which is what we do. We're in the business of fixing the cause permanently. So you don't have to take a Tylenol or a fever reducer. You take the antibiotic. We're the antibiotic of drains. It's going to get rid of that bacteria and that infection, and so you don't have it anymore, and there's no more problems moving forward.
Yeah. So hopefully anyone looking for some sort of reason as to why their toilets are backing up or anything is backing up in their house, if they're weighing over whether they should get their pipes replaced, if they should call a drain cleaner, hopefully this episode helped. And stay tuned for more from the Royal Flush Podcast.